Hello and welcome back to the attic. This is a new toy I have. It's an auto transformer, so it takes 220 and turns it down to 110. I have a little 220 inverter up here, and I also have this, that other one's an MSW, but this is a pure sine wave, and so yes, I can generate, and this is automatic. It senses whatever the input voltage is and makes 110 volts and 220 volts. So, nothing's ever good enough as I get it. A little tour here. These little blue things, initially I just kind of thought those were capacitors, voltage dropping or something. What this does is it senses the high and low voltage on the transformer and displays that on the front, and it also senses the incoming voltage. So we turn this thing on, and so you see power on. It checks the voltage, and then we have a 104 volts AC coming in and 201 coming out. I have this old UPS, and I pulled the electronics out of it. I kept the transformer. I turned that into an auto transformer, so as you can see from my generator, it would take 124 volts from the generator and turn into 117 or 110 volts. So right now I'm dropping this to the lowest level possible, but like I said, there's an auto sense circuit here, and this is the way it operates. You got the auto transformer, you got the 220 outlets, 110. You're doing voltage sensing. This is really, it's a very good, it's only 500 watt, but they put it in the same case as a 5,000 watt. So for me, that's great because there's plenty of room to put all kind of extra things in there. And some of the things I've done is add some MOVs, RC network to get rid of some noise. But I could fit a couple small auto transformers in there to have a little bit of a buck or boost to the signal. But this naturally comes up in 220. That's the safest voltage, because you can put 110 into a 220 transformer. You can't put 220 into 110, so normally closed naturally is on the 220, and then the current voltage monitor senses, and if it's 110 volts, it switches this relay on. And it's pretty advanced. It has a current sense transformer. It has temperature sensing on the transformer to see if it's getting too hot. But I've just added this little switch over here, and let's see what happens when we throw this switch. So I'm down to 49 volts. So like I say, I do a lot of testing, and sometimes I'm looking for what happens at a lower voltage, and that's really handy. So it's 49 volts on the 120 outlets and 100 volts on the 220. And let me show you how I did that. Let me pause this a second. So here's the bottom of the board, and usually anytime there's something you want to get at, somehow it's a double-sided board, they'll put that on the other side. But right here is these relays are all 12 volt, and all the decision-making process is low voltage. They could have just made this line operated, but they got the 3 transformers in there. They could have done it with just 2. They didn't even need those little transformers. They could have just done it with a resistor and kept all the electronics based on the neutral. They do have that board sticking out is a switching regulator. So this can go down very low in voltage. They say it stops below 60 volts, but you just saw it, I had it at 50 volts. And that's because this sense transformer that's right here, it's still sensing 110, 120 volts, and it doesn't know that we fooled this relay. And so, yeah, the displays still work at the lower voltage, and the thing keeps operating. So I don't know what it will go down to. I can probably get this thing down. Well, I mean, they say it'll run down to 60 volts. So I could put an auto transformer on this and get any kind of voltage I want. So all I had to do was cut a trace right here. You know, so many things that I want to modify, that trace is on the other side. It's buried under components, and it's really hard to get at. But this was real easy. I just cut the trace and put the switch across it. And now I have this little modification that will get me even lower AC voltages for test work. So that's what's happening up at the attic today. Hope you find it interesting.